Hi, I'm Balint. Welcome to another screencast in which I'm going to debug something kind of on air, and I might turn off the camera if I really stumble into a challenge that I cannot resolve in reasonable time. But other than that, my plan is to just show you the debugging process of a bug I've recently found. If we look at a game, a chess game in the Sac Sac Mate application, one thing I realized is you can jump to moves, and now the moves are highlighted. That's something that I added this week. And if you jump ahead, all seems to work well, but then when you jump back to another move, we get an error on the screen saying cannot read property from of null. And let me show you the code which backs this. So the way we, the error that this is produced in is, I think it is last move dot from. So we need to be able to get the last move squares to highlight them. So that's something that I've recently added, and probably that's when I introduced this bug. So we need those last move squares so that we can highlight them. And when I set them, I get the last move is stored on this dot last move, and it is stored here. So anytime we make moves on the chessboard, so either by clicking one of the previous or next links or by jumping to any move in the moves panel, we set that to the last move that was made on the chessboard. And so it seems like this is always set, although now that I'm looking at this code, I realize that if moves are passed and it turns out that the moves are empty, then we will set that to undefined. So initially we just declare the variable, so the value is undefined. And if that code is not run because there are no moves, then we are going to set last move to undefined, I think, although we get null as the last move. And I don't think that's the case because we were jumping between moves, and so moves was never empty. So this was always run. I think that's my theory. But anyway, that's I think one way to fix this is that initially I just set it to the last move that was stored on the service. So now that bug that might be there, I think, is prevented. So I think that we are not going to see anything changing. Okay, so now when I jump back to move 8, bishop h6, then that worked. But then when I jump back to the previous move, then I got that error. So let me try again and just jump forth to this move, let's say, and jump back straight to 8. Okay, then the error is produced. Maybe if I jump back to any black move, I don't think that should matter, but just for curiosity's sake. So that works. And then if I jump back to this move, then it doesn't work again. So that's, I don't know if that really matters, but let me just collect a few of these data points. So that's the usual move that I jump back to. What if I jump to just here? Okay, so it's produced on other moves too. Okay, so where can this last move be reset to 0? So if you take a look, then originally it's 0. And I think the only time I set last move to anything is in the code that I just showed you. So, and this .chess is the chess.js library, which makes the moves. It's really useful so that I don't have to implement all of that logic. So this might give back null. My idea is that this might return null, and then we just happily set last move to null. But when could this return null? That's a good question, because usually it returns something of the form. It returns color and the squares from which the move was made, and to which square it was made, and the piece that moved. So, and I'm only interested in the from and the to. So let's see sources. If I go to sources, it's right here. If I scroll all the way down, let's put a breakpoint here, but only when last move is null. So when there is no last move, and that's I'm trying to set it. Okay, so let me just restart to have a clean slate. Okay, so jump ahead, that seems to work. Jump back, still seems to work. Okay, now I'm setting it to null. So now the moves array contained 14 moves, and that's because when I move to a previous, when I jump to a previous move, I go back to the first move and then redo all the moves up until that move. So then moves, okay, moves was, it contains an undefined as the first move, which is not very healthy. But since I'm moving through this array of moves, then I think it's the last one which really matters. So let's say moves, and the last one is knight from B to D7, which I want it to jump to. So that seems correct. That seems correct that I set this to. So knight G, E2, knight B. So that was from here. I jumped. So why does it return? Why does it return null? That's a valid move that was made. Interesting. So maybe on that move, knight B D7, the chess library somehow returns null. Let's see. So now I'm setting another breakpoint here. So if move is this value, let's stop before that move is made. Okay. Okay, so when I'm going forward and I have this move, knight B D7, if I make that move, then the last move is correct. You can see that the last move was knight B D7. Okay, so far so good. Then we jump back. Then things are different. Well, I guess things will be different. So knight B D7. Let me just copy this. Actually, no, let's go over, and the last move is null. Okay, so that's really interesting. Why does it make this move? I mean, why does it return 0? So I guess the next thing to check is to check, get it? To look at the library, because it always returns the move that was made. So how can this, yeah, I guess it's too many. Where is the API? Here you go. So dot move. Okay, so move takes a move and then some options. Ah, now I get it. Okay, so what's happening? Probably what's happening is that it thinks that it's an illegal move. So san is the algebraic notation for chess moves. And I think that this move knight b to d7 thinks it's not correct. I wonder if this has the same issue. So I'm not sure why this wouldn't be correct as a chess move, but I think that library thinks it is not. And just a chess related note, usually knight d7 is enough, so just giving the destination square and the piece that moves there. But if several pieces can move there, then this distinguishes between those two pieces. So this notation, this designates that it's the knight which is on the B rank, the B file moves to d7. So let's play that chess game just to show you what I mean. If you go all the way, and now you have this one, and both knights can move to the d7 square. So that's why you need to put, it's the B knight that moves there. But it's also interesting that it makes the move on the chessboard, but at the same time it says it's incorrect. So I need to be able to find a way around that. An optional sloppy flag can be used to parse a variety of non-standard move notations. Okay. So e to e4 is indeed sloppy, but I don't think my variation is. So a quick fix could be to include that sloppy flag. Let's see if that would help. So move, and here I'm saying sloppy true. Okay. Why did I stop here? Because the move is, oh yeah. What's last move now? Okay, this is correct, but I think this was correct the last time too. So now if I jump back here, I guess the move is the knight b d7 move indeed. And now, so the sloppy flag did not help, because now we are going to set it to null, and we cannot just say only set this last move to the local variable last move if last move is not null, because we absolutely need this last move. We need it to be able to highlight the squares. So that would be a defensive coding, but defensive kind of coding that doesn't lead us anywhere. Okay, so we need to do something else. Let me do some research in chess.js, and then I'll come back. See you soon. So I found out something really interesting. The way chess.js makes those moves is that when we instruct it to make a move, it generates the list of all possible moves in that position, in the current position of the board. And then it goes through the moves and checks whether one of those legal moves from that position matches the move we told it to do. So clean move is the move we told it to do. And then it returns it. And then if it doesn't find it, it returns null. So that's how it becomes, it gets set to null in the bug. And so I look into why that's possible. And I found that when initially we go through that incriminated move, knight b d7, let me show you. And it's going to stop there, and this chess, so the chess.js library is stored on this.chess on my service, has a method called turn, and in this point in time, it correctly thinks that it's black's turn in this position, so it does the correct move, and it stores it. I mean, last move is correctly stored as knight bd7, and then it sets it and everything works fine. But when we go back to that move, then if we ask chess again whose turn it is, turns out it thinks that it's white's turn. And when it generates the moves, it generates all the possible moves for white because it's white's turn. And so our move is not among those possible moves, which again makes sense. So where the error comes from is that we don't track the turns correctly. I mean, we somehow make, probably that's like an even odd error that we make. We instruct chess.js to make an odd number of moves when it should be even, something like that, I think. And so it might come back to this weird thing that we saw in the first part of the screencast where moves had this starting move of undefined. I think that's going to be the culprit here. So let's see how that's possible. We still have the service open here. And the way we jump to a move is that we say make moves between and then two move indexes. Actually, the make previous move and next move are very simple because those are just, you have to make one move for the next move, and for doing the previous move, I reset the board and then do all the moves from the starting position to the current move index. This is not perfect. There might be a more efficient way, but it has worked out so far. And if you take a look at make moves between, then you'll see I left a comment that this makes the moves between the from move index and the to move index, including both endpoints. So that's why it's sufficient to just pass it one index for making the current move. But one error that I can see right away is that for going back a move or a number of moves, we pass, the first parameter is passed as null. And that was that's how I designated starting from scratch originally. But recently I introduced this not started guard value. So that I can distinguish between a not started game and a move which has just started. So we are at index 0, and both 0 and null would be false in JavaScript. So I introduced this not started. It's just also more telling. So I think I forgot to update that instance. So here it shouldn't be null, it should be not started. And in make moves between, I filter out that move. So if we are instructed to make the not started move, that method is just going to filter it out, which is what we want. So I think that's going to solve the problem of having undefined as the first move in this array. Let's see if that's correct. So let's jump to this move. So far so good. That changes. Move ahead to this move. The other thing that might be a problem is that we also instructed to do the move that has already been made. Actually, that might mess things up indeed, but let's see whether that has done something. At least I shouldn't see undefined as the first item in this area, and now we don't. So that's a good thing. This chess.move knight bd7. I think last move is still going to, no, now we have the correct last move. So yeah, that bug has been fixed. Now let's see if I jump around a little bit. Yeah, again, I have this. We just disable it for the time being. Back to this move, here, here. Okay, everything seems to be good. I should write a test at some point. Let's go back to this previously faulty move. Okay, so now that works. I'm happy that we have fixed this. So let's wrap up by being more precise. I don't think this off by one error poses an error, like actually produces an error, because I think what Sac.js does is that when you give it the same move as was done previously, just discards it. Although I'm not sure. So let's really be precise and say that the current move should not be made. And we can do that by simply passing the next move. So in the jump to move action, we know that we want to start with the next move. So if I'm jumping ahead, then it should be the next move that we first play on the board. And so that should be fine with one caveat, and that's that when the game hasn't been started yet, then the current move index is set to this guard value, which is a string, not started. So in that case, that's going to wreak havoc on our code, because it will attempt to do not started +1 as a string, which is unfortunate. So let's not do that. Let's say, how do we do this? Well, the first thing is that it's, because I stumbled into this a few times already, so maybe we can just check that both are both from move and to move are actual numbers. If either from move or to move, are not numbers, let's say console warn error. Console error, you passed from move and to move as move indexes. Oh, as move indexes. Yeah. Okay, so let's see if if our error works in this case. Yeah, the current move index is not started. So that's going to, oh, okay, from move, I mistyped that. So if we haven't started the game yet and I jump ahead, I should see, yeah, UPA's not started 1 and 15 as move indexes. And yeah, we can make it more precise, like this is not correct, or check that those are correct, something like that. But we do not want to allow this. So let's say that if, which I have, game hasn't started yet or something, game not started. Yeah, so if game not started, come on, if game not started, then we should move to just 0. So okay, I have another idea. The next move index is either 0 or this current move index plus 1, and then we don't need this conditional. And here we can write next move index. Yeah, our app crashed because of not being able to make that move. So I should refresh. Probably I should kill it because it's, yeah. So now we should refresh. Hopefully, yeah, this has rebuilt, so now it should be fine. We still have this conditional breakpoint if we make that move. Oh, but we have an error on the console. You pass 0 and 15 as move indexes. So this works correctly, but our message does not. Why would it not be a number? If either of these is not a number, then we should, oh, maybe well, it's 0, no? So let's see what's wrong. From move to move. If not a number. Oh, double negation. So if this is already, of course, true, if this is not a number, so I don't need to negate this. If it is not a number, then this is when it should do its thing, do its warning. Okay, it seems good. If has not started and okay, yeah. If has not started, and I know why that is, because we filter out the not started. So we should only warn after that step. Yeah. Because the previous and the next, I mean, if you go back to a previous move, then it's going to start from that not started value. You pass not started and 14 as move indexes. Oh, okay. So this does not filter out moves to make. Yeah, so let's be again, we have to write some more code. So if moves to make contains anything which is not a number, that would be more correct. In filter none. If there's any move which is not a number, it's not an illegal move, invalid moves, let's say. Non-number, non-int moves, non-number moves. You passed, okay, and then I don't have to write all of this. You pass non-number move, but those are not valid move indexes. Okay. Now it seems that that warning really is really only displayed when I make an illegal move or an invalid move. Okay, so that wraps things up for this week. Thank you very much for watching it, and see you next time.